Hello, my name is Alexander Nietzsche. I am a grad student at the University of Denver. I am in the Master's Marketing program, and the session I attend today is Privacy and AI, Taking Back Control of Our Data. Talk was given by Yasadora Cordova, who works for Unico ID Tech. So the talk started off just talking about identification in general, how especially in Brazil, it's a very common method for elderly people to get their social security benefits. And so this also leads to a lot of issues because without a lot of technology and having to manually verify everything and no way to really streamline it, a lot of it gets caught in bottlenecks. So the solution she recommended was being able to switch to a digital identity, have that be how things are confirmed and authenticated through online methods. And this is able to unlock a lot of different economic value, inclusion, access. She also mentioned that inefficiency that was causing people to sleep in tents for days and wait outside for their benefits was leading to an inefficiency cost of nearly 2% of Brazil's GDP. And so because of that, she saw an opportunity to be able to solve a $20 billion problem per year with a digital identification process. However, her concern was politics, because data in itself can be political, and especially unsecured data can be used as political leverage. An example she gave was from Brazil's own election, where there was different issues with a party's membership, which led to different double confirmations and different issues like that, which led to a lot of different problems, arguments, a lot of distrust in digital verification. But a lot of these issues also came from outside attacks, which is what she really wanted to emphasize, that even the people in politics in Brazil are still susceptible to these attacks or in having their personal identifiable information. From there, she wanted to talk further about AI. And so to kind of lead into this, she gave an analogy of, let's say, a pool. If you go in a pool, you're going to jump in. There might be little skin cells, little hair follicles that fall out, but it's not really something you can see. Or even if you see a little, it's something that you'll go home, you'll forget about, and if you even notice it in the first place. She likened AI to something that was able to not only see the different things like hair and skin, but also remember forever. So it goes from, oh, I'm in an empty pool, or oh, I can tell maybe someone was in this pool before, to suddenly having access to all this information specifically. Oh no, this person did this when they were in the pool, or they were here, likely did this because we found this kind of DNA or stuff like that. It's a lot more specific, and it doesn't ever really forget this data. Basically, harping on the point that no matter what, AI will use your data, whether you'd like it to forget or not, whether it's important or not, it's still there collecting that data in the background and will include it in its analysis or whatever the user's having it do. And that was one of the biggest issues that she was really worried about with AI. The fact that it's going to be going and scraping all this data from the web, whatever it can find, to start making these decisions. And even worse, with data scraping, once there might be even some fake information that might be generated from AI or an untrustworthy source, but it's still accumulated by AI using data scraping and all added in together, it could present an image that's just flat out untrue. And there's still, because of how AI is modeled, there will still be difficulty in identifying which point things went wrong in the process. And so because of this, the solution that the speaker presented was instead trying to get more digital literacy, basically having people be more adept in understanding what's going on online, how their information is getting used, and try to just be able to navigate basic things. But she said this is already an issue because, especially in Brazil, it's hard to develop digital literacy when people are already lacking basic reading skills. These demographics are already more likely to be victim to fraud and digital crime, or they're aging, and it's getting harder to adapt with each passing day. But she had a solution in what she calls the laws of digital trust. There are three of them. The first one is a data entity shall proactively safeguard and enhance the well-being of its users. When companies take the time to do this and actually show their users how and why they're adding safeguards and trying to protect their data, it creates a line of communication, some dialogue. And so it's already the kind of good first step to allowing users to trust these digital entities with their data. And now, which leads to the second law, which is a digital identity must operate with transparency, always being honest with its users. That way the users know when data is being collected, why it is, and how that data is going to be used. And finally, the third law she mentioned was a digital entity shall return control over users' data, respecting their authority in the digital realm. So with this one especially, this means no, she called it privacy washing, basically where companies are able to go and talk about how amazing their privacy laws and how they're using this data and try to keep it secure without actually doing much or having much proof that they're there backing it up, and not really communicating either once someone's clicked agree on the terms and conditions that their data is actually being handled, and there's just not very much transparency with it. Now, the lecture basically ended with the speaker talking about how by embracing security, privacy, and simplicity in the different digital interactions, we can safeguard digital identities and enable a future where technology enhances rather than compromises autonomy and privacy. Now, overall, I agreed with the general message of the lecture that there should be better and more secure data privacy measures in place, as well as there should be a lot more data transparency because, again, I hadn't really given it much thought, but as I was hearing her speak, I realized, oh, yeah, I agree to give my data to these companies as I use their accounts, like Google, let's say. But not once have I ever actually seen how that data is being used, how it benefits. I mean, as a marketer, I can see, so if it's with YouTube in my Google account, I can see, okay, as I watch different videos, I see different recommendations, but also I see different marketing stuff and advertisements, and I can get that as a marketer. But at no point besides we're going to use your data, terms and conditions, etc., is it ever actually able to go over with me how the data is being used, why it's being used that way, and just exactly what they're collecting in general. And I know it's definitely within the terms and conditions somewhere, but the average person doesn't really have the the digital literacy to go through and understand, read through, and know exactly what all these terms mean. So if companies are actually able to listen to her suggestions, make the data privacy better, stronger, add more transparency, add some communication between people, I do definitely think that there will be a lot more trust within digital entities who are trying to push this. And also because of that, people might not be as wary of things like AI because they know, okay, it might be out there, but I know my data is at least very well protected, or at least what data they have. So hopefully these measures are implemented, and honestly, I hope there is some kind of data privacy or transparency legislation in the near future, but only time will tell.